Hey guys, good morning all. Just give me yes in the chat if all of you can hear me and see the sublime text. Quickly give me yes in the chat if all of you can hear me loud and clear and see the sublime text. Cool. Guys, try to join within first 10 minutes. I don't want to make everyone waiting for just because some people have not joined. So let's keep a target timeline for around 10 minutes or so that everybody can join by 10 minutes. So at least we can start with at least 12 minutes or something like that. Okay. All right, coming back. Today is going to be our third class for this batch for data structures and algorithms. We have already covered with two classes where we talked about introduction to programming. We talked about basics of DSA, variable constant, data types, operators, loops. That is what we have covered so far. And we did a couple of questions as well. Today our primary focus will be to cover on pattern printing questions. And once we are done with the pattern printing question, then we'll go to the next part, which is arrays. Okay, so next topic after this is going to be arrays. So let's quickly revise what you have done in the last class specifically, then we'll start with today's session. So we are continuing with the operators. We start with the fifth category of operator, which we call as logical operators. So logical operators will give you a result in a boolean, whether it will be a true or whether it will be a false. So AND operator, OR operator, NOT operator, we talked about the truth table for all of them. The way AND works it, if both input is true, the output is true. The way OR works is if any one of the input is true, the output is true. NOT is just a flip, it will convert NOT 0 to 1 and NOT 1 to 0 and so on and so forth. XOR operator is a different kind of operator. It's again logical operator, but the way the logic of XOR works is if both operands are same, it gives a output false. If both operands are different, it gives the output 1 here. Okay, so the operand should be different here. That's it. Then we talked about the loop specifically. That's what we discussed in detail. Loop means something repetition on repetition. Why do we need to have a concept of loop in programming? Try to understand. If I'm given a use case that I have to print a certain line after 1,000 number of times, without the concept of loop in programming, I would be doing it 1,000 number of times, right? This is a very inefficient way of doing it. What does loop provide me? Loop provides me a simple, efficient way that I can, in two lines, I can print it however times I want. The three category of loops, for loop, while loop, and do while loop. For and while loop both are entry-based loop, and do while loop is exit-based loop. We talked about the for loop in detail. It starts with for loop. You have initialization, then you have a condition, then you have an increment or decrement. And this is called the body of the loop where you have the code to be executed, right? So first we printed the loop, we know the value, the condition will go when it goes to 10, so it will be 0 to 9. After that, we'll print the value 10. We verified this with code as well. We talked about the number of times the code is running, so on and so forth. Then we talked about a bit on complexity. We talked about what will happen if I don't give an increment decrement. It will give infinite number of times, but there is no compile time error. It will just give me TLE. We just had discussion about the difference between TLE versus MLE or TLE versus Stack Overflow. When do we get MLE? When do we get TLE? See, Stack Overflow is one kind of MLE, which is memory limit exceed. TLE is time limit exceed, means the number of operation that you are doing has exceeded the number of times that you have to supposed to do for. Usually you get TLE once you have crossed 10 to the power 8 computations. The moment you cross 100 million computation, you will get a TLE. Okay. It has nothing to do with the memory changes. Wherever memory changes involved, that is when you'll get the Stack Overflow. Then you move to the recursion part here. So if you look at the recursion, we talked about here, the output we'll get is infinite times before you run. But when you say infinite, before you even goes to like 10 to the power 8 computation, since memory changes are involved, it will much before go to the Stack Overflow part. Okay. Then you move to this part. In this case, if you look at it, now we don't have a condition. So if we don't have a condition, by default, it's considered to be true. So this will give you a TLE here. Okay. We talked briefly sort of touched about what is circular dependency. So whenever you hit the value integer max and then you add +1 to it, you will hit the integer min and that will go back to -1, then 0 to integer max, then to integer min, so on and so forth. Okay. Then this we talked about in the case of if I don't give any input, the code will still work. It's just it'll give me TLE. Okay. Syntax error is not there. Then we talked about nested loop, which is a loop inside a loop. So if I put a loop inside a loop, it will work the same way. Now it's just that before the value of I changes, this part has to be completed. So this part has to be completed. This will go through 0, 1, and 2. Then the value of I will change from 0 to 1. So total number of executions will become n square. And then we talked about bit of time complexity, whatever number of operations, whatever number of iterations, just put it under big O, that becomes your time complexity. Okay, we did few questions on time complexity to understand that better. Then we did a question which is given three values, find maximum of three values also. We talked about three different ways, using ternary operator, using the logic, comparing A, B, and C, and you're using the max operator. We also talked about why we should initialize. If I have to find minimum, why should I initialize with integer max? If I have to find maximum, why should I initialize with integer min? With this example. Okay. All right, guys. This is what we have completed till so far. If everybody clear with the revision, quickly give me clear in the chat. I'll start with today's session then. All good. Okay, let's go with pattern printing. Today's topic is going to be pattern printing. Let's try to understand what you mean by pattern printing and then we'll go in detail. Okay. All right. I see some of you are still joining. Guys, try to join a bit on time. While do while pretty much the same thing, nothing much important here. But if you want, this is what while loop is. So in while you give a condition here, you will check the condition and then you will hit the body of the loop. Okay. Same thing that you're checking in the for loop. For example, while I less than 10, and then I can say, let's say I'm printing the value of I or whatever I'm doing here. And I can do I plus plus, I minus minus, whatever. This is what happens here. So inside the body, you will have the increment or decrement. I don't need to comment it, but let me write it here. You will have the increment or decrement, whatever that is. Okay. And for do while, it will say a do, and then you will have a condition of while. Okay. So while let's say I less than 10, whatever that condition is. So since the condition is checked at the end here, since my condition is checked at the end here, even in the case one condition is wrong, it will still hit the do loop. Okay. But mostly you'll not be using it, but just to let you know the syntax, if you want to use it, go ahead. Just let you know the syntax. This is the syntax for do while and this is the syntax for while. Okay. All right, guys. Now let's start with pattern printing for a bit. What do you mean by pattern printing? Let's try to understand that. See, when we're talking about pattern, we're talking about 2D patterns here. Okay. We're not talking about 1D pattern because they're super easy to code. I believe everybody can do 1D patterns. And not we are not talking about 3D patterns also. Okay. Nobody's going to ask you how to do a 3D pattern. That's not even the purpose of solving DSA. What we are purposefully talking about is a 2D patterns. So when we say 2D patterns, they're going to be 2 dimensions, right? So they're going to be, let me first clarify, we are referring only the 2D patterns. So in that 2D patterns, there are 2 dimensions. There would be 2 changing values. Okay. Rows are changing, columns are changing. In rows, we have the horizontal value, which we go for outer loop. In columns, we have the vertical values, which we call as inner loop. Okay. Now understand this part. 2 dimension, one for row, one for column. Row is denoting the horizontal outer loop, column is denoting the vertical, which is inner loop. Now, rows are always increasing. So first loop, which is the outer loop, is always going to be for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. This is going to be fixed. You don't need to worry about it. So 50% of your job is already done. Next 50% is what you need to figure out based upon the pattern. Okay. So we're going to see some patterns. Let's go through a bit in case it's becoming too much for all of you. We're going to talk about 2D patterns. 2D means they're going to be 2 dimension, one changing in row, one changing in column. Any kind of pattern, row will always increase, right? Whether column increases or decreases, that will decide the type of pattern. Row will always increase. Row has to increase. Okay. Rows represent the outer loop, column represent the vertical loop. Row represent horizontal values, column represent the vertical values. So your row part will always be increasing. So outer loop will always be I equal to 0, I less than and I plus plus. So 50% of your job is already done. Now, depending upon whether your column is increasing or decreasing, it will decide the type of the pattern. So type of the pattern can be the decreasing pattern or it can be increasing pattern. Okay. Decreasing pattern means columns are decreasing as my rows are increasing. Okay. So columns are decreasing as my rows are increasing. And increasing patterns, columns are increasing as my rows are decreasing. Okay. That's the only difference. Let's try to understand that one by one. So I'll keep increasing for a bit. Let's discuss on the decreasing part. If I put n equal to 5, just observe carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Now just hold on a moment. This is row number 1. All agree? This is row number 2. This is row number 3. This is row number 4. This is row number 5. My rows are always increasing when I go from up to down. Agree? There are two values. One is row, one is column. If anybody is not able to visualize it, let me help you. This is what you call as a row. Okay. And this is what you call as a column. Now, this is row number 1. This is row number 2. This is row number 3. This is row number 4. This is row number 5. So whenever I'm going from up to down, my row will always increase. Irrespective, it's an increasing pattern. Irrespective is a decreasing pattern. All agree with this? All agree with this. Everyone crystal clear with this. Okay. So that is why I said the outer loop is I equal to 0 or less than an I plus plus if 50% job is already done. Next 50% is to analyze how the columns are changing. So here it has 5 column. If I talk about the first one, it has 5 column. Then it has 4 column. Then it has 3 column. Then it has 2 column. And last one has 1 column. This is what you call as decreasing pattern. Decreasing pattern. All agree? All agree? Okay. So let's clear the same. Let's come back here. Let's start discussing something. So for n equal to 5, this is the output. I'll give you the output for n equal to 6 also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we printed 4 for n equal to 5 and n equal to 6. Now, what do we need to do is, we need to analyze the relationship between row and column. How is my column changing based upon the row? If you figure that out, it will be much easier to write a code. Okay. Have a look. A template slash problem solving. What do we need to do? Row 1, column 5. Row 2, column are 4. Row 3, column are 3. Row 4, column are 2. And finally for row 5, column are 1. Now understand one thing very clearly. What did I tell you? You need to figure out a relationship between row and column. Look at this pattern and tell me, do you see something common? In this pattern, 1, 5, 2, 4, 3, 3, 4, 2, 5, 1. Do you think something is common? If you find something is common, then you can write the code for it. What is the common, guys? Quickly in the chat. With these number patterns, something is common. No. Okay. Increasing, decreasing is fine, right? You cannot write the code based upon increasing, decreasing. There should be some kind of equation forming. Observe this pattern. There should be some kind of equation forming. Think about it. Answer in the chat. 10 seconds. Be quick, guys. Think about it, guys. This pattern is very itself telling you what is common here. Be quick. All right. What is common something here? The common is, see, if you look at the pattern 1, 5, 2, 4, 3, 3, 4, 2, 5, 1, there is one thing common, which is that 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. 3 plus 3 equal to 6. 4 plus 2 equal to 6. 5 plus 1 equal to 6. So I plus j is equal to n plus 1. Yes or no? Yes or no? Come on, guys, observe the pattern. Let me know in the chat. I plus j is always equal to n plus 1. Now this is based upon one based indexing. Okay. One based indexing. When we're talking about row is 1 and column is 5, right? If we talk about zero based indexing, because n is kept as 5, right? For this, I'm printing the pattern for this guy, n equal to 5 here. Okay, let me repeat it again. I'm talking about this pattern. Observe this pattern. N is equal to 5. For n equal to 5, this is the output. Now I want to decode what is the relation between row and column here. That's all, so that I can write the code. I can see if I have to write the code for row, it is I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. I am just printing 5 rows. All agree? If you look at this pattern, I need to print 5 rows. So I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. That is the code. What do I need is I need to understand how do I print column. Because row I can print. Column, how the columns are changing, that's the pattern I need to figure out. Based upon the pattern of relation between row and column, I can write the code for the inner loop, which is for the column. Come back here. Outer loop is for the rows, inner loop is for the column. Okay. So coming back to this, row I can write the code which is still done, 50% is done. For the inner loop, something we need to figure out. So how do we figure out for the inner loop? Let's have a look. For the inner loop, I need to figure out the pattern between this. So what did I do? I just make a relation between the row and column. So row number one, there are 5 columns. Row number two, there are 4 columns. Row three, there are 3 columns. Row four, there are 2 columns. Row five, there is 1 column. Okay. So I plus j is always n plus 1 because n was 5 here. That is why I've written this equation. I plus j equal to n plus 1. Everybody crystal clear so far? Okay. Now it became n plus 1 because I'm following a one base indexing. I talk about row 1, I talk about column 1. If I go with zero base indexing, that would become n. Okay. And that is exactly what your answer is if you go with zero base indexing. So your row plus column will be equal to n. Your row plus column will be equal to n. That's it. Okay. So what do we get? First loop, which is my outer loop, is for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Second loop, which is my inner loop, that will become what? For j equal to 0, I plus j less than n and j plus plus. That's all I need to figure out. This I already knew the answer. The only answer that I need was the second loop. And second, I need the answer in terms of I and n. Now I got the equation I plus j less than n. This condition will always valid. Now you can print it. You will see it will work completely fine. This statement is still clear to everyone. We just need to focus upon finding the code for the second loop, or basically finding the relation between I and j connected with n. That's all you need to do. Okay. Let's verify this with the code, whether it will work or not. It will work completely fine, but let's verify. So I'll go back to lead code. We'll start writing some code. We'll start verifying whether it's working or not. Hash include bits stdc++ dot h using namespace std and teacher main. What are we doing? Let's make a function. It becomes easier. Let's call it as pattern integer n. So integer I equal to 0, j equal to 0. What do we need to do? For I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. For j equal to 0, I plus j less than n, and j plus plus. What do you need to print? You need to print star. After that, I'll print the backslash n. So I can go to the next line. Okay. And here I'll call the value for pattern of 5. Let's see if it is printing the correct pattern on. Okay. Where did it go wrong? Okay. 3 times. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is it printing the correct pattern? Yes or no? Is it printing the correct pattern? Yes or no? It's printing the correct pattern. Let's check for 6 also, just to confirm it once. Is it printing the correct pattern for 6 as well? It's printing the correct pattern for 6 as well. It will print it for any number, whatever number you pick up. Okay. The code is completely correct. Logic is completely correct. That's why the output is completely correct. So go back to your Sublime guy. There goes your code. And there goes your output. 5 and 6, whatever that is. This is for n equal to 6. This is for n equal to 5. All right, guys, that is done. Can you explain why I plus j equal to n? Look at this. Do you understand I plus j equal to n? Do you understand this line? How did we reach here? We observe the pattern based upon that. Okay, let me explain that again. Guys, focus your attention here because that's something we discussed in the very first place. What did we do? We did not do anything. It's super simple. Do not over engineer things. Outer loop, which is a row, is I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. This will be always, irrespective is increasing, irrespective is decreasing. So 50% of your code is already done. This part of the code will always remain same. This part clear to all first. Anybody has any question in this part? Outer loop, I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. This will always remain same. You don't have to do anything about it. Only thing that you need to do is this part, inner loop part. How will you find the inner loop, which is J, which is representing the column? How do you make a relationship with the I and M? That's all you need to figure out, nothing else. If you figure that out, you have solved your question. Okay. Now coming to that, based upon how J is changing, J are columns, nothing else. If they are increasing or they are decreasing. If they are increasing, then my columns will increase. For example, this guy. Well, I have not made it, but it will increase with the columns. If they're decreasing, it will decrease with the rows. So for example, this case, my columns are decreasing. First row has 5 columns, second row has 4 columns, third has 3, fourth has 2, fifth has 1. This is what you call as decreasing column. Everybody clear with this? Everybody clear with this? These are decreasing columns. Okay. Now, how did we get that relation? Understand this. I just printed at row 1, I have 5 columns. At row 2, I have 4 columns. So on and so forth. Row 5, I have 1 column. So I just made a list at what row, how many columns I have, nothing else. Okay. Now, I plus j, the condition that I have got here is, after observing this pattern, I get to know that the sum of row and column is always same. So 1 plus 5 is 6, 2 plus 4 is 6, 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 plus 2 is 6, 5 plus 1 is 6. I plus j is always n plus 1. This part clear to all? Until this part clear to all? Okay. Now the next part that I'm saying, if I count row 1, that is when I'm getting the sum of 6. If I count it as row 0, the sum will become 5. In your indexing, you always start the indexing from 0, right? Technically, if I talk about this has to be row 0, this has to be row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, correct? You want to keep column based, one based indexing, that is also fine. I'm not in, see, if you want to do one based indexing, you have to start from 1 here. Then you can do I plus j less than n plus 1. That is correct. Eventually, it's the same thing, right? I told you yesterday, if you run the loop from 0 to less than n, or if you run from 1 to less than equal to n, both are same thing. Mathematically, both are exactly same thing. But what I'm saying is, since you start from 1, that is why it became n plus 1. If I have started from 0, this would become n. This statement clear to all? This statement crystal clear to all. If any doubt is there, please let me know. You count from 0 to n minus 1 and you count from 1 to n, both are same number of iterations. If you're doing it from 0, then you can take it as I plus j equal to n. So what do I get? I get the equation I plus j equal to n. Means I need to run j that number of times till I plus j becomes equal to n. So currently my j is starting from 0. I need to run till that part till I plus j become less than n. The moment it becomes equal to n, that is when I need to stop. So that's why I put the condition I plus j less than n. That's how I got this code. Let me add in comment here. I plus j equal to n. So I need j till that part. J is nothing. J is just the columns. I need columns till that part till I plus j becomes equal to n. After this for loop, I plus j will become equal to n. That's it. Okay. All right, guys. Any more questions on this? Anything which is not clear? Anything you want me to explain again? Anything else which is required? Please let me know. If it is crystal clear, then give me clear. I can explain it again. It's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. There's nothing wrong. You can directly message to me as well. If you don't feel comfortable asking to everyone, you can directly message to me as well. Okay. All right. If decreasing part is clear, if everybody is clear with the decreasing part, I believe increasing part should be super easy. And I will let you guys continue with that. I can show the code and everything, of course, but I want your guys' participation in the increasing pattern because now you have seen the decreasing pattern. So now rest of the thing should be super easy. Okay. So an increasing pattern, what will happen? How about this guy? An increasing pattern, columns are increasing as my rows are increasing. Okay. So if I put n equal to 5, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I put n equal to 6, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is what you call as increasing pattern. Your outer loop will still remain the same, I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, rows are increasing. Now your columns are also increasing. So first row, first column, second row, second column, third row, 3 columns, fourth row, 4th column, fifth row, 5 columns. Everybody clear with this? Okay. Now we'll come to template slash problem solving. So for row 1, column 1, row 2, column 2, row 3, column 3, row 4, column 4, row 5, column 5. Can you guys tell me the pattern now? What relation do you see between row and column? What is the pattern here? Quickly in the chat, guys. Correct. The pattern is super simple here. What is the pattern? The pattern is row becomes equal to column. That's it. That's all you need to do. So I becomes equal to j. That is your answer. Row becomes equal to column. I becomes equal to j. That is your answer. So if I talk in terms of loops, first loop and second loop, first loop was I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. This will not change. Second loop, I just need to run that many number of times that I becomes equal to j. So j less than I, less than equal to I, and j plus plus. All agree with this pattern? I just need to run j till it becomes equal to I. That's it, nothing else. If all agree, let's quickly print it. Let's verify our code is working fine. From here, I just need to change one line. J less than equal to I. Pattern remains the same, 5 and 6. Comment it, run it. Let's run the code. What do we get? Am I getting the correct output? Yes, I'm getting the correct output. Let's check it for 6 also. Am I getting the correct output? Yes, I'm getting the correct output. Okay. Your code is working completely fine. Take Sublime Text, print the values here, then print the output here. This is n equal to 6. This is n equal to 5. Okay. That is what you call as increasing pattern. Okay. All right, guys. Everybody crystal clear with this? The increasing pattern and decreasing pattern. I'll quickly revise it. Then I'll give you a question and then I'll give you guys time to write a code and then come up with a code. Okay. Anyway, let's quickly revise what we discuss as part of pattern printing. Then we'll do a question and then we'll go on to arrays. So first thing first, pattern printing, we're talking about 2D patterns here. We are not talking about 1D pattern, super easy. 3D pattern doesn't make sense in context of DSA. So when we talk about 2D or 2 dimensions, we're talking about rows and columns, right? Those are the 2 dimensions. Rows are the horizontal one, which is represented by an outer loop. Columns are the vertical one, which is represented by inner loop. Rows are always increasing. For example, rows are represented by the first loop, which is outer loop, I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Now there can be two kind of patterns. Either it can be increasing pattern or it can be decreasing pattern. Who decides increasing? That is determined based upon how my columns are changing. If my columns are decreasing as my rows are increasing, that is what you call as decreasing pattern. If my columns are increasing as my rows are increasing, that is what you call as increasing pattern. Okay. So if I talk about n equal to 5, I would have my columns decreasing here. That is why it is a decreasing pattern. So what did we do? Only I need to figure out the inner loop. I just need to figure out the condition between I and j. So here, if I look at the pattern, I plus j is equal to n plus 1. It is one base indexing. So if I do zero base indexing, it will become equal to n. Okay. So this is my first loop. This is my second loop. I need the logic here. The logic will become j equal to 0, I plus j less than n, j plus plus. Okay. I print the logic here. And that we verified for both test cases, working completely fine. Then we talked about increasing pattern. So in the case of increasing pattern, my columns will be increasing as my rows are increasing. Okay. So row and column are same. I write down the logic. So my logic will become j less than equal to I. So I put that inside the inner loop. I printed that value. We verified for both test cases. That is what was our pattern printing overall. Everybody crystal clear with this? Okay. If everybody is crystal clear, one moment. For this, I need to write both together. Yes, I is increasing, then I is decreasing. So you need to write the pattern both together. Okay. All right. Let's start with question number, I think 3 or 4. Let's start with 4 real quick. That question is based upon pattern printing. Okay. I'm giving you one test case. And I think for one test case, should be able to figure out the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Can you figure out the pattern? Can you figure out this pattern? Yes or no? Come on, guys. We just did the increasing, decreasing pattern. Can you figure out? Just tell me one thing. Is it increasing pattern or a decreasing pattern? I'll give you enough time, guys. Don't worry about it. I'll give you enough time. Is it increasing pattern or is it decreasing pattern? All agree it's increasing pattern? Okay. Now, this is what I need from you guys. I want you to write a code pattern which takes integer n. N is the number of rows you can take here. So number of rows is n equal to 5 here. So for n equal to 5, this is my output. Okay. I want you guys to write me a function. If I put n equal to 5, this will give me this output. Accordingly, if I change n equal to whatever number, output should be according to that. Okay. Feel free to code in whatever language you want. C, C++, Java, Python, Golang, Sharp, C Sharp, whatever that you want to code with. Okay, even JavaScript. And share that answer directly in the chat. I want all of you to code. I don't want you to give me a pseudo code. I don't think it will take much time. 80% of the question we have already done. There is 20% change that you have to do by your end. Okay. This question is pretty much the same code that I've written previously. Just one thing needs to be changed. And I want all of you guys to make that change. So I believe all of you guys are competent enough to make that change. Figure that out. I just want you guys to write the code. Okay. Again, repeating the instruction. You just need to complete this function. Please test your code before sending it back to me. One moment. Please test your code before sending it back to me. Okay. Pattern on zero base index n equal to 5, 0 plus 4. I plus j equal to n minus 1, right? No, you can put like j less than n, right? I plus j less than n, that is running the same number of times as well. Okay. Either you can do I plus j less than n or you can do I plus j less than equal to n plus 1. Both are same things. Okay, just count the number of iterations you are doing. Coming back to this, just complete this function and give it back to me in the chat. Please do not message to everyone. Please directly message it to me. So you don't get disturbed by other people's answers and vice versa. Instructions clear to all? Instructions clear to all? Any doubt in the instruction? Question clear to all? Requirement clear to all? Come on guys, quick in the chat. Question clear to all? Require. I'll give you enough time. There is no rush, guys. Don't rush into the code. Please verify your code first. Please test it, then give it to me. I'm not rushing anything. Make sure you get the requirements properly. Make sure you can understand the question properly. Make sure you understand what you need to code properly. Then you can start coding. And once you have verified your code, then you can send it to me. Okay. All right, guys, from my end, I've given you the function that you have to complete. Please verify your code with this input and other inputs that you can think of. And once you are done, then share it back with me. Once you guys are all done, then we can start the discussion. Okay. Your time starts now. Please make your code functionally correct. Don't rush into giving incorrect code just because you're running out of time. Okay. So make your code functionally correct first. Okay. All right, guys, enough time. Do you guys need more time or shall we discuss? Do you guys need more time or shall we discuss quickly in the chat? Can discuss? All of you agree? We can discuss now. Okay. Cool, guys. This is very simple, straightforward. Just one thing that you need to take care of it is first thing, it's increasing pattern. It's increasing pattern, number one. The only thing that you need to change is in the previous pattern, we're printing a star. This star needs to be replaced by a number, that number which is increasing. Agree? The code for the increasing pattern will remain the same. The only thing is instead of printing a star, now we need to print a number and that number is increasing continuously. All agree with this? Okay. If all agree, let's verify the code. Let's quickly go here on the lead code and modify the code. Okay. What do I need to do? I just need to create a number. So I'll create an integer count equal to 1. Instead of printing the star, I will print the count. I'll print a space 2. And what will I do? After printing, I'll increment the count. I'll clear this. I'll run the code. I'm getting the correct output for 6. If I print the output for 5, that will work fine as well. Okay. That's all I need to do. Majority of you have given the correct answer. Almost all of you have given the correct answer, which is great. Okay. All right, guys. This part clear to all? Pattern printing part clear to all? Cool. Now, if pattern printing is clear, we have covered the basics of programming. The basics of programming in the sense we talked about basics of DSA, variable constant, data types, operators, loops, pattern printing. Now we finally will start with data structure part. Okay. That data structure part, the very first data structure we're going to learn about is we call as arrays. Okay. So we'll talk about arrays in detail, and after completing arrays, then we'll move on to the next set of data structures. Okay. So let's quickly start with arrays. Okay. Before I start any data structure or any algorithm, I'm going to repeat this. You'll find it me often repeating it at the start of any DS or algo. If you want to become master and learn to precise it. What do I mean by that? And eventually over a period of time, you will understand that. If you want to master any data structure or algorithm, you just need three things to know about that data structure algorithm. Number one, what? Number two, why? And number three, how? That's all you need to know. So if you want to become master, just know about what, why, and how of that DS or that algorithm. Now, what is this what, why, and how? What means what use case or problem does the data structure algorithm solves? What is the need or application for the data structure algorithm? And third, how it is coded or implemented in any language of your choice. Okay. Understand one thing very clearly. Every data structure, every algorithm is very specific in the kind of problem they solve. Every DS, every algorithm is very specific in the kind of problem they solve. There are no two data structures in the world which solve the same problem in exact same time and space complexity. Otherwise, why would you create a duplicate? Correct? So when you talk about what is the use case, every data structure has its very specific use case they're used to solve. Why? You need to understand what real life implementation or what real life application that DS or algo holds. And then finally, how to code or implement. Okay. Let's try to understand this. All of you know this control plus Z. All of you use multiple operations, either on a Google Doc or somewhere else. What is control plus Z used to do on a keyboard? Come on, guys, very basic question. Control plus Z. Yes, it will do the undo changes. What is control plus Y will do? It will do the redo changes. Okay, simple example. If I write Devang here, I do control Z, it is gone. I do control Y, it is back. Control Z gone, control Y back. Okay. We know about undo, we know about redo. Can you guys tell me which data structure is used to perform undo and redo operations? All of you would give the correct answer. The data structure uses stack. Why does stack? When we go to the stack, we'll discuss that in detail, the implementation part, right? But what I'm covering is why it is important to know the need or the real life application of the DS algo. If you don't know if this operation is implemented by this, you would not able to understand the purpose of the data structure. Okay. So whenever we learn about, we try to understand what is the purpose of the data structure in the first place, or purpose of that algorithm in the first place. They are very specific in the kind of problem they solve. Okay. Another example, if you guys know the answer, well and good. If you don't know it, completely fine. I'm giving a simple use case. Imagine you have a university or you have a campus. You have a university, college, university building or college building, whatever campus that you want to take. In that, you have multiple buildings. So multiple buildings in the sense you have an admin building, you have a computer science, then you have maybe mechanical department, IT, civil, etc., etc. Whatever department that you have. Your task that I want to give you is, let me know if you guys know the answer. First, get the understanding clear. You are at a campus. It can be university campus or college campus, whatever you want to consider. It has multiple buildings, right? So 10 buildings, 20 buildings, whatever you can consider. The task is you are given a rope of infinite length such that you need to cover all the buildings using minimum length of rope. Okay. So you are given a rope which is of infinite length. You have, let's say, 10 buildings or whatever number of buildings you want. You need to cover all the buildings using minimum length of rope. Which data structure I'm talking about here? Does anyone know which data structure I'm talking about here? There's a very specific data structure which is used for this. A very specific data structure used for this. Okay. Anyways, if you know it, well and good. If you don't know it, let me tell you the answer. We'll talk about the graph when we go there. The correct answer is MST, which is minimum spanning. Okay. When we go there, we'll talk about it. I just use this for example just to tell you that every DS, every algo is specific in the kind of problems they solve. Okay. All right. Let's move on to next. Now we officially start with arrays particularly. We'll try to understand each and everything about arrays. First thing first, what do you mean by arrays? What's the purpose or the use case of array? The use case of arrays, if I give you 10 integers, if I ask you to define 10 integers or create 10 integers, you can create like this, A, B, C, D till J. Agree? You know how to create one integer, you can create 10 integers. Nothing is wrong with that. Agree? Okay. Problem will come if I ask you to create 1,000 integers. Now, if you go with this format, A, B till this part, so after Z, you are done with A, B till Z, right? So you'll think about I can create A1, B2, A2, so on and so forth, and combination till 1,000. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. It is possible. I'm not saying it is not impossible. It's not possible. But understand something. If you create 1,000 variables, imagine a code which contains 1,000 variables. How difficult it will become to manage those variables, change the value in the variables, and access those variables. Agree? As long as it is limited number of variables, 5, 10, 20. 20 is hard to be honest. 5 to 10 is sufficient. But it is like 1,000 variables, and all those variables needs to be maintained, updated, printed, changed, whatever you have to do. That will become a very cumbersome code for you, right? That is why we have a data structure called arrays. What exactly is array? Array is a collection of similar type of data types stored in contiguous locations. Okay. Array is a collection of similar type of data types which is stored in a contiguous location. Now I've highlighted two terms here. Number one, what is similar type of data types? And number two is contiguous location. We'll talk about it one by one. But this is the definition of arrays. Whenever array is always a homogeneous mixture, remember that, right? So whenever you have same type of data types, multiple values of same type of data types can be 10, 100,000, million, whatever that is. You put it under one umbrella and you call it as an array. Okay. That saves us from a trouble of creating thousands of variables or millions of variables and accessing them. So array is a collection of similar type of data types which is stored in contiguous location. What do you mean by similar type? Have a look. Can I call this as an array? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yes, this is an array. This is array of integers. Why? Because all values are integer here. Can I call this as an array? Yes. This is array of characters here. Can I call this as an array? If I can call this as an array, should I call it as array of integer or should I call array of characters? Because majority values are integers. Come on, guys, quick in the chat. Let's see who's giving the answer. When we talk about same data type, we are purposefully talking about compile time languages. So I'm not differentiating between Python or C++ here. Okay. The correct answer is you cannot call it as array of integer. You cannot call it as array of character. It is not an array. Why it is not an array? Remember, array is just a homogeneous mixture. So if you're having all value character, good. You're having all value string, good. All value integer, good. All value double, good. But you cannot have mixture of values. That is what you will not call as an array. Okay. Let's take one more. Tutort and Academy. Can I call that as an array? I can call this as an array. Not just that. Not just that. Can I call this as an array? Yes. You can call this as an array also. This is array of objects. Okay. As long as you have the same type, whether the type is an integer, character, double, string, or even an object, doesn't matter. It should have the exact same type. Array is a collection of, where am I? Array is a collection of similar type of data. Okay, did that sheet close or something? Okay, anyways, array is a collection of similar type of data types which is stored in a contiguous location. So the first part, similar type of data types, that is clear to all. Come on, guys, quickly in the chat. Similar type of data type, just a homogeneous mixture, nothing else. Okay. Later, we'll talk about contiguous location once we are clear with the indexing part. Now, a bit on the syntax. How do you create an array? How do you initialize an array? There are multiple ways. There are two ways basically. First way and second way. First way is I can create integer a5 or let's say array 5. And then I can give the value of the array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This part is what you call as declaration. And this part is what you call as definition. Okay. Let's understand difference between these two terms. When you say I'm declaring something, declaration means creation. You have just created it, you have occupied the memory for it, that is what you call a declaration. But you have not given any value to it. You have created it, it exists in the memory, it is there without any value, that is what you call as declaration. Definition is when you assign it a value. The moment you assign it a value, it becomes definition. Example, integer a. The moment I said integer a, what will my compiler do? My compiler will understand, okay, I need to reserve 4 bytes. Those 4 bytes I need to reserve under the name of A. Agree? Now compiler will see that an integer A means I need to reserve 4 bytes. I need to reserve 4 bytes under the name A. That's it. Okay. This is what you call as creation or declaration. The moment you say A equal to 10, the moment you have said A equal to 10 means you're assigning the value that becomes a definition. That becomes a definition. Okay. So declaration means just a creation. You have not assigned the value. The moment you assign the value, that becomes a definition. If I do integer A equal to 10, now what will you call this? Declaration or definition? Someone guys quick in the chat. Line number 450. Will it be called declaration? Will it be called definition? Correct. It is declaration plus definition. Okay. Cool. That is what declaration definition. That is exactly the two ways in which you can create an array or you can define an array. So one way is you can do the declaration separately. First you created an array of 5, means the compiler will know I need to reserve 5 into 4, 20 bytes. Okay. Yeah, I'll go to the Java. 5 into 4, 20 bytes. And once it reserves the 20 bytes, then you can initialize the values here. That is one way of doing it. Other way of doing it is you can create integer A equal to directly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Okay. So here what I'm doing, here I'm doing declaration plus definition together. These are the two ways. Now understand the difference between the two. In the first place, what will happen? Line number 430 is executed. Array will reserve a size of 5 into 4, 20 bytes under the name ARR. All agree? All agree? Come on guys, click in the chat. Okay. So 20 bytes are reserved under the name of ARR. Then you're giving the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is completely fine. This is one way of doing it. So think of this way, you reserve the seats before and without telling like how many people, you already know how many people, you just reserve the seats for 5 and then later 5 people will come there. That is what the first part is. Second part is you took the 5 people and on the go, you are trying to reserve a seat, right? So you have these 5 values and they're going to reserve the seat that, hey, we need the 5 seats. If it has the place for 5 seats, you will get the 5 seats, so on and so forth. However, if you try to do like this, integer A5, and you try to assign 6 values to it, will it work? Will it work? You have reserved 5 seats, but now you're trying to get 6 seats. That will not work. You will get an error, which is index out of buff. Okay. Similarly, if you try to create an array without determining the size of it, right? So if you have not given the size, for example, if I do something like this, integer array, I have not mentioned any size. And then in the array, yeah, that's what I'm coming to. Then in the array, you give the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you think this will work? Do you think this will work? This will not work. Why this will not work is array is a static data structure. There is no way you can have the dynamic allocation of the array. Do we have the alternative dynamic? Yes, we have like list in Java. We have like vector in C++. Those are the dynamic versions. But when we talk specifically about array is a static data structure. This is error because you need to define array is a static data structure. What do you mean? Size must be known while creation. So if I don't know what size of array, the compiler will say, if you want me to reserve memory, I don't know how much memory to reserve. In this case, you told very precisely reserve 20 bytes. In this case, you have given the 5 values, and based upon the integer values, the size is 5. 5 into 420, but it will reserve it. But in this case, how much memory do you want to reserve? You have not told the compiler. So this will give you an array. Okay. This will give an error. Everybody crystal clear with the syntax? Someone guys quick in the chat. Everybody crystal clear with the syntax? Okay. If everybody crystal clear with the syntax, now I'll move to indexing part. Okay. Let's cover the part of indexing. I have this array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Size of the array will become 5. Size means the number of elements. That's it. Indexing in an array always go from 0 to size minus 1. Okay. So in this case, it will go from 0 to size minus 1, which is 4. So array of 0 will become 1. Array of 1 will become 2. And array of 3 will become what? What will the value of array of 3? Quickly in the chat. Correct. Array of 3 will become 4, so and so forth. Okay. Integer equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is possible. Yes, it is possible. See, understand what is happening here. The moment you are saying integer equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you are doing declaration and definition together. Means you are telling create an array based upon the size I'm giving you. So you have given the size. It's always the size which is given right now. But if you do it in 2 steps, for example, if you do this, now this will not work. This statement is incorrect. Wherever you get semicolon, statement gets over in programming, apart from Python, of course. But wherever you put semicolon, statement get over. So this statement is incorrect. But if you say like this, that, hey, I have 5 values, I want to create an array integer of 5 values, that is completely correct. Okay. All right, coming back to it. This is array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Indexing in an array works from 0 to n minus 1 or size minus 1. Okay. So if I talk about array of 5, can you tell me what is the output of array of 5? What kind of error? One guess if it is error, what kind of error? Correct. See, array of 5 means this is going to be a compile time error, and this is index out of bound. Similarly, if I print array minus 1, what will be the output of this? Since you can have only between 0 to size minus 1, same output, this will be compile time error, index out of bound. Okay. However, in the case of Python, negative indexes are allowed. What it will do in the case of negative index, it will start returning from the reverse. So array of minus 1 will give the output 5. Array of minus 2 will give the output 4, so and so forth. That is specific to Python, but I'm just telling you, overall indexing will always go from 0 to n minus 1. Negative indexing is not supported in arrays. Okay. All right. So we get to know difference between size and length. There's no difference. Size is equal to length. Okay. You call array.size in C++, you got array.length in Java. That's it. Okay. All right. Now we get to know what is indexing. It starts from 0 to n minus 1. That is something that we have known. So if I give less than 0, it is incorrect. If I give greater than n minus 1, that is incorrect. What is the purpose of indexing? Anyone knows what is the purpose of indexing in array? What will happen if I don't have any indexing? Retrieval, fetch the selected value. Okay. Anybody else? Get the value specific index for ease of accessing. Won't be able to do any operation without indexing. Is it? Can I do operation without indexing? Access to elements. Okay. Anybody else? We can't access and retrieve. Unable to find position of stored values. Memory address identification. What does indexing has to do with the memory address? Okay. All of those things that you're saying, those are interlinked. I'm not saying anything is wrong. Those are interlinked. But what is the root cause of indexing? What will happen if I don't have indexing? Okay. To understand that, all of your answers are correct, but try to understand the root cause. Why When arrays are data structures, think from the first time somebody have used arrays, somebody have thought of the arrays. When the first time array was introduced as a concept, why somebody thought about creating an index there? 100% they would have faced a problem. That is when they created an index. Nobody would have created an index while thinking of problem which does not exist, correct? So whoever has created the array for the first time, they would not have created index at that time. Then they would have thought there is a problem. Then they have created an index. Common sense, right? What is that problem? What is that purpose of indexing? Let's try to understand. To relate to that, to relate to that, understand with a simple example of real life example of a book. Okay. What is a book? A book is a collection of pages, right? And in that collection, every page is something of same type, same dimension, same length, same breadth, so on and so forth. So can I call book as array of pages? Yes or no? Definition of array is similar type of data type. So if I talk about a book, in a book, every page is similar type, right? So I can call book as an array of pages. In book, there is something called page numbering. Agree? In a book, there is something called page numbering, which is something that you can compare with indexing in an array. Think in the real life, what is page numbering used for? If you identify that, you will get the answer for arrays. Imagine a book without a page number. What problem will you face? Imagine a book without a page number. What problem will you face? Come on, guys, be quick. See, if you had a book, let's think about it. What is the purpose of page number? There are multiple ways page numbers are useful for. I know exactly which page to search based upon the page numbering. I can build indexing on top of it, right? All of your contents index are based top of it. The core purpose of a page numbering is it uniquely identify the page in the book. Yes or no? Every page in the book is unique. How do you get to know it is unique? Because of the page numbers. All agree with this. Just think through it and then give a yes. I don't want you to say yes just because I'm asking it. Think it. Imagine in real life. If you have a different opinion, please put it out. If you have a book does not have page numbers, you will not be able to uniquely differentiate what is the page. The purpose of page numbering is you can go to each and every page. Every page has a unique page number. Now you can say this page is unique. Even if the content is same, the content can be same. Even if the content is same, let's say it's an empty page book. But since they have different page numbers, now you know that I can uniquely identify this page versus some other empty page. Okay. Same thing is done for the arrays here. It is used to uniquely identify the element in the array. Okay. So if I have an array like this, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. If there was no concept of indexing, how will you differentiate between these twos? You cannot. Since there's an indexing, now you can say, hey, this 2 is at index 0, this is at index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3, this is index 4. So despite the fact they all have the same value, their indexes are different. That is when you know all the values are different. This part crystal clear to all. One guys quick in the chat. This part crystal clear to all. Okay. This part is clear. Now let's talk about contiguous or continuous locations. Contiguous or continuous location. We covered the first part of the definition. Array is one moment. Array is a collection of similar type of data type stored in a contiguous location. Okay. Now we covered the first part. Similar type of data type means everything in an array will be a homogeneous mixture, means you would have the same data type. Second part, stored in a contiguous location. What is the part of contiguous location? Why it is important? Let's talk about it. To understand that, we need to go through the indexing that we have just completed. Now we are good to start with contiguous or continuous location. Okay. To your question, why index is recommended to start from 0? To be very honest, you can start the index wherever you want. You can implement that. The purpose indexing starts from 0 is because 0 is considered to be the first positive number. That's why. Okay. All right. Now starting with contiguous or continuous locations. Integer A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Indexing will be 0, 2, and minus 1, which is 4. One integer take 4 bytes. How much total memory this array will take? Quickly in the chat. One integer take 4 bytes. How many integer I'm creating here in this array? Come on guys, quick in the chat. I'm creating 5 integer here, so total memory will be 20 bytes. Those 20 bytes of memory will be reserved where? Those 20 bytes of memory will be reserved in the primary memory, which we call as RAM. And very technically speaking, it will be in the registers. Okay. Now, what's the concept of contiguous or continuous location? Understand this. Let's say address of the first element, which is array of 0. That is something we call as base address. Assume this to be 1000. Assume this to be 1000. So address of array of 1 will be what? Address of array of 1 will be what? What would be the address of array of 1? If address of array of 0 is 1000, what will be the address of array of 1? Quickly in the chat. Okay, let me raise a poll for this. That will help you guys answer. Address of array of 1. So I'm giving you two options. In the poll, give the answer. Come on guys, I've launched the poll. Let's see who gives the correct answers. Quick in the chat, guys. We are 57 people. Okay. 10 more seconds. 5 of you are still yet to answer. Answer it real quick. But enough time. I'm closing the poll now. Okay. I'll share the result with you guys. So 83% of you said it's 1004. 17% if you said it's 1001. Okay. Let's discuss this. First thing, how it will look like, let's talk about 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009. This should be fine for now. Now, the address that you got of 1000, the value it is 1. It is of 4 bytes. So it will start creating, let's say 1. It will take 4 bytes from 1000 to 1003. Yes or no? 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003. It will consume the 4 bytes for storing the value 1 here. It takes 4 bytes. Then from 2, it will take 1004 to 1007. Then for 3, it will take from 1008 to whatever the part here. Okay. So this will become 1000 plus 1 into 4, which is 1004. Yes or no? Think it and then give me the answer, guys. Integer take 4 bytes. So if you start the address with 1000, it will take the 4 bytes including 1000 to store the value 1. Then after these 4 bytes are consumed, then it will go to the next value. So next value is 2. 2 is again integer, it will consume 4 bytes. So 1004 to 1007. Next 3, which is 1008 to 1011, and so on and so forth. Everybody crystal clear with this? Everybody crystal clear with this? Okay. If this part is clear, tell me the address of array of 2, which is 3, quickly in the chat. What is the address of array of 2? Correct. It will become 2 into 4. This will become 1008. Now, do you guys see any formula here? Do you guys see any formula here which I can generalize for any formula? So if I have to find, let's say, address of array of k, can I say base address plus k into 4? Can I write it like this? Yes or no? And 4 is what? 4 is just a data type. And this is possible because this is stored in contiguous location. Now understand one thing very clearly. Why do we call it contiguous location in the first place? Immediately after the 1 stops, 2 starts. If there was a gap, let's say 1 stopped here and 2 is starting from here. Now you cannot call it contiguous location. This part clear? Immediately after the first element ends, the second element starts. Immediately the second element stands, third element will start. That is why you call it contiguous. If there was a gap between them, that is when you cannot call it contiguous. All agree? All agree? And this formula is only valid in the case of contiguous memory. If it is non-contiguous, you cannot apply this formula. Okay. Anyways, that was the second part, which is contiguous and continuous location. Now coming back to my complete definition of array, I've covered both the things. So what is array? Array is a collection of similar type of data types, means it's a homogeneous mixture stored in contiguous location. What do you mean by contiguous location? Every value will be stored continuously. Okay. That's what we're seeing with the memory diagram as well. Now, some things about specific to the languages. In Java, arrays static in nature. Array list is what you have dynamic in nature. Java also have vector, which is dynamic in nature. C++, you have array, which is static in nature. You have vector, which is dynamic in nature. Python, you don't have array as such, but you have the implementation using list, which is dynamic in nature. Golang, you have the array, that is dynamic in nature. Same goes for C# as well. Okay. All right. This is sufficient for the theory of arrays. Now we can start with the questions part. Okay, at least the basic questions part, then we'll talk about the more advanced algorithm. But before I go there, let me quickly revise what I discussed so far. I've covered this, I've covered this, I have covered this. Now, first thing first. First, I talked to you about what 3 things we should know about any DS algo. You should know about the use case or the problem that DS algo is solving. What are its real life application, how it is coded or implemented. Okay. To understand with the part of real life implementation, this is undo redo operations implemented via stack, and such kind of use case implemented via minimum spanning tree, connecting all the nodes in a graph with minimum cost. Okay. Now, what is array itself? Why do we need arrays in the first place? Array is just used to provide an umbrella for similar type of data types. Okay. Rather than creating it 1,000 different variables or multiple million variables, you can create it under one umbrella and you can access them all together. So array is a collection of similar type of data types which are stored in contiguous location. We identify what do you mean by similar type of data type, means it's a homogeneous picture. Everything has to be of the same data type. Okay. We talked about the syntax here. This is the first way, this is the second way. So you can either first declare it and then you can define it, or you can do the declaration and definition together. Okay. Second part, storing in a contiguous location. To understand that, we need to understand the part of indexing. Okay. Indexing is something we define from 0 to n-1 or 0 to size -1. Purpose of indexing is to uniquely identify the element in the array. Once we clear with indexing, now we can talk about continuous location. Continuous location means array follows contiguous memory, means it will save one chunk of memory and it will assign the values in it in a contiguous way. So the moment first value will end, it will start the second value. The moment second value end, it will start the third value, so on and so forth. On base of that, I can calculate the address of any particular element in the array as long as I know the base address and I know the index of it. Okay. Then I talked about the specific implementation in languages. What option do you have here? Whenever we talk about arrays, we always refer in static format. Okay. So don't get confused when somebody is referring to array, they're talking about the static part. Otherwise, they would say vector or array list. Okay. Everybody crystal clear with this so far? Everybody crystal clear with this so far? Okay. If everybody's crystal clear, now we can start with a couple of questions. Okay, we'll go one by one. We'll go through all the questions, then we'll move to the next part. First thing, for the question, and this is the format I'll do it for pretty much all the DS and algo. You'll get used to it. I'll tell you about the question. I'll explain the sample input. I'll explain the sample output. I'll give you the function that you have to complete. I'll give you the company name which has asked this question, wherever it is applicable. Okay. And then I'll give you like, let's say 1 minute time. In that 1 minute time, I'll expect a code. When I say code, just complete the function. Don't focus on taking input output. In any language, time complexity, space complexity. So 3 things I would need from you, and make it a habit here. Whenever you write any piece of code, write time and space complexity as well along with it. Okay. Make it from the early days. So whenever you will become senior enough or staff engineer or anything else, principal engineer stuff, you would have sufficient amount of experience to understand time and space complexity. Okay. So whenever you write any code, make it a habit. Do mention time and space complexity with it. And this is something we'll follow for all the questions. Okay. Let's start with the basic questions first of array. The very first basic question. Print all values / traversal in array. Okay. Means if your array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want my output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just need to print all the values in the array. Okay. Somebody is asking how to do it in Java. Let me do this in Java so you guys would be comfortable for Java guys as well. Okay. C++ we have already done. I'll tell you what I want you guys to do. Nothing much complicated here. I'll just update the function for you. Let's say static void print array. I'll pass an array here. I'll pass the size of the array here. Okay. Public static void main, string main arguments. Here I have integer array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you create an array. Somebody was asking, this is how you create an array in Java. Okay. Integer n would be array.length. What will be the value of array.length here? Quickly in the chat. What will be the value of array.length? Correct. That will be 5. System, not system, I can print it itself here. Print array comma n. You just need to complete this part for me as of now. So I'm giving you an array. This is the function that you have to complete. In this function, I'm taking an array, I'm taking its size. You just need to print all the values in the array. That is what you call as traversal. Question clear to all? Array is given, integer is given. One moment. Array is given, integer is given, size is given. You just need to print all the values in the array. Okay. Please explain the basic syntax of Java as well, as I'm new to Java. I'll come back to that. This part clear to all guys? What do you need to complete in the function? Everybody guys. Okay, cool. Now to answer your question specifically. See, in Java, we define the class main or whatever class that you want to denote it. If you're creating a public class, make sure you're saving it in main.java, part 1. Then you have this next concept, which is public static void main, which is taking string arguments as the input. Okay, string array of argument as the input. Static means you'd make your main function a static because you'd want to reuse it, right? You don't want to create a separate instance every time. Void means it is not returning anything. This is just a syntax of creating an array. This is the syntax of finding the length or the size of the array. That's it. Okay. All right, guys. This is the function that you have to complete, static void print array. So it's not returning anything. So if you have to print something, please print inside it. It's not returning anything. Okay. So that is one part. It's an easier way. I have seen people giving answer already. My question is, hold on, guys, hold on. Let me complete the question. I will not ask the question so easy. Hold on. Can you print the array or can you traverse the array in two different ways or more than one way, basically? Can you traverse the array in more than one way? Okay, if you can, then give me the answer here. Okay, what do I mean by more than one way? I'm not saying that to traverse in the reverse. That's not what I mean by more than one way. I want the same output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just in two different implementations. One implementation may be what you have written, another implementation may not necessarily be what you have written. Okay, so I've given this function already. Think about how you can traverse over the array with more than one way. Okay, even if you're not able to find more than one way, that is fine, but just think about it. If you're able to find it, well and good. Okay, that being said, your time starts now. You guys know the drill. Please change your message directly to me. Do not message to everyone. Whenever you write a function, do mention time and space complexity along with that. Okay, all up to you guys. Once you guys are done, just let me know in the chat, then we can discuss. Your time starts now. The question was, you need to traverse the array, do traversal of the array in more than one way. Whatever you think can be more than one way. Come up with your code, how you can traverse the array. Then think about, can there be any other way in which you can traverse the array? That's what the question is. So complete this function just in two different implementations, if you can. All right, guys, everybody done? Shall we start discussing the answers now? Everybody done? Shall we start discussing with the answers now? Okay, cool. Let's start discussing the answers. I think majority of you have given the one simple way is that you can iterate over the index. Using the index, you can iterate over the value, you can print the value. The code will be super simple. I equal to 0, for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, system dot out dot println array of I plus this. This is what majority of you have already coded. Let's run this. We got the correct output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Is there any other way that you can print it? Yes, there is one more way. So in this way, what we are doing is, let me write it down. This is the first way. In that first way, we are iterating over the index, correct? Can we print the array without iterating over the index? Yes, we can. There is another way, which I'm calling as second way. We can just iterating over values. What we can do by iterating over values? Let's have a look. So I can say integer value, whatever value in my array, I can print the value here. That's it. And I can have a println statement. I can print array2, array comma. Run the code. My other print array is already defined. That is correct. What is wrong with that? Okay. Array2, clear this, run the code. So both are giving me the correct output. Both will give me the correct output. You can use anything. You can use for each. You can do any other part of it. That is completely fine. But the two major differences, you can iterate over the index or you can iterate over the values directly. This two approach clear to all. These two approach crystal clear to all. Either you can iterate over indices or you can directly iterate over values. So I copy this. I take it back to Sublime Text. Here I am. One moment. For each also, we have, is there anything like a logo fan? One moment. The complexity, let me first write down the output. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time complexity of both of them is big of n. Space count is big of n. I'm not using any extra space. Time complexity is big of n. Okay. In JavaScript, how it will look like? You can just use any part in the JavaScript, just a simple for loop. Just for loop in the array value that you have here. Okay. Or the list value. Not clear second one. What is not clear in the second one? Okay, let me explain it again. What you're doing in the second one is you are not iterating over the index. You are taking the array itself as input that you want to iterate for. So that array has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you write this code for integer value in array, now you are not going through the index. You're not taking 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're taking directly the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're directly printing the values. So you can iterate over the indices by fetching the index, you can fetch the value, or without even going through the indices, you can directly fetch the values from the array. These are the two different ways to do it. Now it is clear. One moment, guys, one moment. One moment, let's go step by step. Integer value, ARR, it's directly checking the values, correct. When you say integer values in the array, this colon field, this denotes directly access over whatever this right-hand side is. So when you say ARR pass, we are not referring the index. See, it's very simple. When you say ARR of 5, this is when you're referring the index. When you say directly ARR, you are passing the values here. That's all. Okay. So when you say I'm directly passing ARR, I'm not going through any index. I'm directly passing through it. Okay. Guys, one moment, one moment. I'll go to space complexity, but is this part clear to all? The code is clear to all. Forget about complexity for a moment right now. Anybody has any questions in the two approaches? First approach, we iterate over index. Second approach, we iterate over values. Everybody is crystal clear with this. Okay. If everybody is crystal clear, now we can talk about time and space complexity. Okay. First part, time complexity, I told you. First of all, time complexity, we do not define for this part. Time complexity, we define for a function. Okay. So whenever you're talking about time complexity, don't consider taking input output in that. Only consider the functionality that you are doing. So the time complexity is referring for this function or this function. Same goes for space complexity. Part one. Part two, what should be the complexity? Let's talk about it. If I talk about this function, I'm running a simple loop. We know the concept of time complexity. Whatever times the code is running, put it under big O. This code is running how many times? N times, so big O of n. This code is running how many times? N times, so big O of n. So time complexity is big O of n. Everyone agrees with this. Everyone agree with this. Any questions related to time complexity? Okay. Now, space complexity. Coming to the space complexity part. As of now, n means number of iterations. Yes. N is the size of the array here. Okay. Whatever is the number of iteration, just put it under big O. That becomes a time complexity. Now, to the space complexity part, again, I told you time and space complexity will discuss in detail in the coming classes, not right now. I give a shortcut trick to calculate the time complexity, count the number of iteration, put it under big O, that is time complexity. Okay. Space complexity, if you create anything extra, if you create an extra space, an extra array, or extra data structure, that is when you'll be creating some space complexity. If you look at this, I'm just creating one variable and that's it. So my space comp is big of one. First function. Second function, again, I'm not creating anything extra. My space comp remains big of one. And that is why my space complexity is big of one. This part is not taken into consideration while taking time and space complexity. Okay. Yes, we will have separate session. All right, guys. For these two function, time complexity is big of n, space complexity big of n. Yes, space complexity means memory you are taking. Space complexity means memory you are taking. Come on guys, quickly in the chat. This part clear to all? Any questions, any more questions pending in this? Okay. If this is good, I want to take another question. We have roughly 10 minutes, but I think we should be able to cover it. And that is going to cover two more important concepts. So the first question that we have done, this was first, right? The first question that we have done was traversal, and the root cause I represented that is we can do traversal in two different ways. Either we can traverse over index or we can traverse over values. Second question is also related to two different ways. Second question is sum of all elements in an array. Okay. So let's say if you have array like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is sum of all values? Sum of all values is 15. Okay. So you need to write a code like this, or I can just take it to the lead code is plus with something like this. Static integer sum of array. You are given integer array and you're given integer n. And then you print the value of sum of array. This. So need to complete this function. You're given an array. You're given the n, which is size of the array. You need to tell me a logic. How would you calculate the sum of the array? Quickly in the chat. Come on, guys, be quick. Question clear to all? You just need to calculate sum of the array. Sum of array means what? Sum of array means sum of all values in the array. That's it. Everybody clear with this? Quick in the chat, guys. I don't want to take too much time. 2 minutes for this. You can message to everyone. I'm not spending too much time. You can message to everyone quickly in the chat. Give me the answer. Be quick, guys. 2 minutes. All guys, enough time. Let's start discussing the answer. We have less than 5 minutes. Let's discuss the answer. See, let's quickly implement it. I can define my integer sum equal to 0. For integer I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. I can say sum plus equal to array of I. And then I can return the sum here. Easy. Let's run the code. Let's verify it's working fine or not. Sum is 15. Sum is 15, which is correct. Let's print the value sum. Give it a space. Print it like this. Should be good. Oops. Why it is doing that? Okay. Sum is printing is 15 here. Okay. This is correct. This is working as expected. However, there are few things that we need to discuss here. But as of now, I'll take this guy, bring it here, put it here. Or I can take the entire code. I'm fine with that. This is the entire code. Anyways, coming to this part, anybody has any doubt understanding this portion of the code? What am I doing here? Anybody has any doubt in understanding this? Everybody is crystal clear? Okay. Those who have any problem or something, let me just tell you in simple ways. The approach is super simple, guys. Whenever you have to calculate sum of anything, means I'm initializing sum equal to 0. Then I'm going to each and every value I'm adding to my sum. So initially sum is 0. Then I do 0 plus 1. So it becomes 1. Then I become 1 plus 2, it becomes 3. Then I do 3 plus 3 becomes 6. 6 plus 4 becomes 10. 10 plus 5 becomes 15. So this is what I'm doing in the code. So you go here, sum equal to a, 0 till a of n minus 1. This is what I'm doing by traveling for array of I, I being 0 to n minus 1. This code crystal clear to everyone. Okay. There is two optimization which is needed in this code, by the way. This code is not completely correct. I mean, I will not consider it as a production ready code. There are two optimization which are needed in this code. Okay, that we'll talk about tomorrow. Do we have a class tomorrow? No, we don't have a class tomorrow. Okay. Anyways, that we'll discuss in the next class. But as part of a homework, as part of a follow-up, I'm just giving you a simple thing. You guys let me know if there's any difference between the two or not. This guy and this guy. Is there any difference in these two? What do you guys think? Let me quickly raise a poll that will save you time. Go to that. Any difference? Yes or no? Required. Save. Okay. I've launched it, guys. Quickly answer in the chat. Last few seconds, guys. Be quick. Only 3 of you are pending. Quickly answer. All right. I'll end the poll in 4, 3, 2, 1. So 88% of you said there is no difference. 13% of you have said there is a difference. Okay. We'll discuss that. By the way, just to tell you the answer, there is a difference. These two are not same. Answer would be same. Answer would be exactly same, but these two are not same. Why these two are not same? That's what I'm giving you as for homework. Think it out. Let me know. We'll discuss it in the next class. Okay. You would have been told in your grade 11th or 12th, whenever you're introduced to programming, that these are called shorthands. Sum plus equal to nothing. It is sum equal to sum plus array of I. You would have been called the word shorthands. Agree? If you guys remember, I don't know when was the first time you were introduced to programming. In grade 11, there's a book called Introduction to C++. That is where it's perfectly mentioned that this is a shorthand. That book is by Sumita Arora. That used to be a very popular book at that time. I don't know about the current syllabus now. So that is when it is meant to use as a shorthand. That is correct for somebody who was understanding till grade 11th. But technically speaking, this and this are not same. Okay. Answer would be same. Now you need to think about if answer is same, what's the difference? Okay. Take this as a homework. If you can get the correct answer, well and good. Otherwise, we'll discuss anyways in the next class. I'm giving that as the homework here. I'll quickly revise what we've done till so far. Then we'll go for wrapping up the session. Okay. So first thing first, we start with the pattern printing. We talked about the 2D patterns. We talked about decreasing pattern. We're understanding about the template that we need to figure out for understanding an increasing or decreasing pattern. We write down the code, pass all the test cases. Then we talked about increasing pattern. We figured out the template for increasing pattern. We write down the code, pass all test cases. Then we've done a question on top of pattern printing to understand whether it's working correct or not. It's working correct. We start with the arrays, as I said, to become master in any DS algo. Know about its use case, its real life application, how it is coded or implemented. Then we talked about array, understood the collection of similar type of data types stored in contiguous location. We talked about similar type of data types. We talked about contiguous location. We continued with this, talked about indexing. How does we can calculate the address of any particular array value at any index here. Then you move to first question, printing all the values. The reason is there are two ways. I can iterate over index or I can iterate over values. Second, there are sum of all elements in array. We write down the code for it. However, these two are different. Now it's up to you guys if you can find out the correct answer why these two are different. I'm still repeating, they will give the same answer, but still these two are different. Okay. All right, guys. Any doubts in today's session, whatever we have taught so far? If everything is crystal clear, give me clear in the chat. Okay. Everything is clear. When you're starting with lead code question, assignment in the portal are not validated. 1 or 2 classes it will take to go to the lead code exactly. We have not started with that yet. Okay. It will take 1 or 2 classes. You'll get all the assignments and everything. Don't worry about it. Can we do some nested loop pattern as well? We can do that, yes. Yeah, I've read that comment. I said yes to it. Okay. All right, guys. If everything is good, let's wrap up the session here for today. Let's catch up in the next session, then we'll continue from there. Okay, I've given you one question for homework. Try to find the answer for that. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for joining in. Have a good day. We'll connect in the next class.